this is Fullest House, first edition, where we are playing Vaettiheim, and it is turn 40. Maybe going to have a Foul Vapors trap this turn, one that we are springing. Let's see, we finished some research, that's nice. Woven Winter, that's good, we're going to need that in Abyssia. We do a bunch of searching, none of it works out for us, that is sad. Only 2 blood hunting. We're moving our other blood hunter group back now that we've gotten some birds up to help us patrol. Right, and the seductions. I forgot to mention that when I was discussing the turn, last turn. But we have attempted to make the commanders of our main army pretty resistant. Random site searchers, though, not so resistant. I think this is our Earth random, too. Nope, it's a nature random. So yeah, that's sad. I don't really see this working out for us. It's not impossible. Yeah, it looks like maybe we killed each other off. No, I'm not sure where that dryad went to. Maybe she started retreating and then, yeah, she didn't quite make it off. So that almost didn't work out. Morale is a big deal for assassins and when you're being assassinated. But still, that's very painful. That is a nice random on our Enchantress. And I've probably not been cautious enough in terms of moving stuff around in our territory. But at the end of the day, Dryads are actually pretty mobile. So it's we can kind of get ganked anywhere. Could definitely have some more bodyguards or put a nature gem on her. I have been putting nature gems on random mages, but we're pretty much out, so I actually had to pull a lot off to stock up our army that's moving out. So this is kind of the cost of it, and it's just the nature of doing business. Probably could have cut I think this is a swarm raid. Here's some nature gems. Did we really need to do a swarm raid, or could we have figured something else out? And this is maybe too much PD for a swarm raid. I don't know. We'll see. It's 2 swarms. The centaur got a little poisoned. That's good. It's good that there's no poison resistance on these guys. And militia, or these are light infantry, do kind of suck. Yeah, there you go. Armies of Pangaea are routed. So yeah, not quite enough PD, but that's starting to get to the point where it's swarm raiding maybe not so good. Even aside from the fact that we kind of need, need those nature gems to not get ganked. Ooh, this is unfortunate. We're gonna bump with Gath. Yeah, let's see. What are we gonna bump with? Holy moly. This is a really heavily kitted thug. I don't know about really heavily, fairly heavily. This is 10 gem item, 10 gem item, 10 gem item, 10. This is a lot of gems. So it's definitely going to beat, 1 PD, especially 1 caveman PD. And then it is also probably going to beat, definitely going to beat our Wolf Brother group, especially because we don't love being in the dark, and they're going to fly to the back. Yeah, and the awe is definitely a problem for us, right? We don't have great morale, so that's, all of them flashing up. And then also, of course, they're getting tangled by the vines. So yeah, I'll have to reach out to Gath. Not too worried about staying on Gath's good side. I feel like they're probably not long for this world. I don't know. There's a lot of gems. They have some thugs. They probably won't roll over without a fight, but they've just taken way too many losses. So we may be fighting with them in the not too distant future anyway. But we were not attempting to bump them. I was just trying to raid a Patala, province away from them. Since Patala has decided that, our provinces are on offer. And I feel a little differently. I didn't really consider the fact that, Gath might also be raiding them. Probably should have considered that. Although in my defense, with that flying thug, could have come from anywhere. There's really no easy way to predict that. And I was concerned that Patala would backtrack to try to block our raiding. Although, yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, probably not, since we haven't really raided Patala. This is, some swarm raiding along with our other fellow. Yeah, so he's got his body ethereal. Somehow they didn't manage to get luck on them, though. That is sad. But, I'll have to take a look and see what went wrong. Also, we have a little bit of air shield, only 40, which is half of the normal air shield, and that is because we have the Throne of Air, and so it adds to our bless, which is kind of a nice bonus. So I'm not, is this really... This is why I'm saying it's we don't really need the swarm rating. Maybe in a situation where we're expecting more heavy defense, combining it with the swarm is nice, right? Because it provides other targets. So it's not like the swarm is bad. It's just that we didn't really need to spend these nature gems, I suspect, for that raiding group. / we didn't really get to test that new raiding group because swarm did most of the heavy lifting. But we do win. Guess I really shouldn't be complaining too much about a win, because yeah, like we haven't, it's been back and forth. There's been some wins, some losses. Here's a classic Wolf Brother raiding group against just one PD, it looks like. So it's really just a question of like, can they take out this Centaur Cataphract? And the answer is yes, they can. So that's good. No complaints with that. I think that this is I'm pretty happy with this Wolf Brother like style of raiding group. May experiment going down to like 8 or something. Certainly if you're up against just one PD often, like you don't need this much. But I do think, if you try to go down to the minimum of like just six Wolf Brothers, then you're going to attrit out relatively quickly. So I think 10 is not bad. Speaking of 10, right? And yeah, here's a situation. I'm not sure if this is a retreat or if Pythium always gets this with their province defense, but that is super unfortunate. Because yeah, these guys got bark skin on them, so now they have protection 24, and like I've talked about how protection is like not our happy place as little goblins. So we'll see. Hopefully we can just kill off these other heavy infantry. Like, yeah, get the HP route, maybe, hopefully. Come on. Like, yeah, this is actually super bad news. And like, yeah, this is a situation, right, where we're going to need like those heavier duty raiding groups. Like we finally got some lucky rolls and punched through. So this does work out for us. But like, yeah, that was a little scary, and maybe a situation, right, where it's like, okay, having the 10 Wolf Brothers is worth it. So I do think we took, we lost 2. This is actually a slightly heavier than normal group. And yeah, it does look like those are some retreats. So Pythium doesn't normally get a mage in their province defense, that's good. Because that would make them considerably more annoying to raid against. And then it looks like Pangaea is riding out of their capital, which makes sense, although this is going to be pretty dangerous because there was a bunch of those Lar thugs there. Right, yeah. Now, a lot of times people jump off, right, when they lose a big battle on top of the cap, but again, this player is pretty good, and they brought all their Lar thugs back. At least I think all. I see 3 of them. They either had 3 or 4. I forget. But most of them, and I'm not sure Pangaea really has anything. Maybe this Air 2, right? Hopefully she's set to advance and cast spells, do some shock damage, and like other than that, like I don't really think there's anything here that's gonna significantly threaten these Lars. Oh wait, yep, there's the 4th one down there. I thought there was 4. And like, yeah, here they come, right? So assuming that there isn't an HP route, which probably not, because there's a bunch of units on guard commander back here, so it's like, yeah, a little bit of infantry gets killed and routes. The holy spell could potentially kill them. Let's see, it does look like they may have gotten one of them, because I see 3 here, but like one of them tried to go to the back, and it looks like something happened to him. Either he routed or he was killed. But it does look like it works out for Pythium, which is probably good for us on the balance. Yeah, they lose their Harpy Queen. That's painful. I think that's a hero, not really sure. Yeah, definitely sounds unique, so that's rough. And then, yeah, they lose 20 of their Sacreds, which is pretty rough. And, yeah, one of the Lars was killed, though. So, that's good news. I think probably on the balance, this is better for Pythium than for Pangaea. I'm kind of curious if you'll indulge me for a moment and try to see, like, what happened to that Lar Thug. Probably the lightning, I'm guessing, right? Because he went to the back, and so the lightning was able to... Yeah, because we do see some lightning coming down, right? But, like, mostly missing. Okay, yeah, there's the guy who gets through. Ooh, actually, maybe he's probably the one that kills the Harpy Queen, yeah, who doesn't really have any gear, doesn't have a lot of gear slots, so, kind of hard to thug out a Harpy here. Hitting it, yeah, there's the lightning bolt. Oh, but she's bleeding. Yeah, so she just bleeds out. Yeah, too bad she doesn't have regeneration. I'm not sure it'd be enough to counteract the bleeding, but that's often enough, because she still has like 10 hit points, but like, yeah, she's bleeding like 2 hit points. There's a 1. Yeah, regeneration may not have even been enough. So anyway, she dies from the bleeding. And yeah, that's 1 Lar Thug that we don't have to worry about, so definitely happy about that, because, maybe we have some answers. And that means that there's no Lar Thug here. Wait. Well, apparently there was 5 Lar Thugs, of course, right as I say, like, I don't have to worry about a Lar Thug. But does he have any cold resistance? No, he does not. Now, he could put cold resistance on himself, but is he going to have that as part of his script? Probably not. Like, yeah, we summon the imps. Now, the imps, we don't control where they go, and there's some retreats and a little bit of province defense here, but yeah, we also have some skelly spam. Sadly, the imps do not jump to the back, right, and we get intercepted, right? These Wolf Brothers were set to attack rear, so this guy's going to get through his full script, and like, yeah, I mean, we've seen him. These Larthugs are pretty nasty. This guy he's got the gloves of the gladiator, so he's just super focused on wiping out like one particular dude, because these gives you like 4 attacks around, but that's just against one target. So he's not going to be so good at clearing out chaff, and like, yeah, he does not have cold resistance. He is ethereal, so he's probably just going to get surrounded by skeletons, right? And the skeletons probably aren't going to be able to kill him because he's got the ethereal and really high protection and regeneration. But conversely, he probably won't be able to kill his way through all the skeletons. And so hopefully, okay, he just retreats, dang it. So it's just an HP route. That's unfortunate because I do think the Frozen Heart would have gotten him. And like, yeah, the sooner we can get rid of those guys, especially because their scripts can be changed to make it a lot harder to actually, get Frozen Heart to kill them. So yeah, the sooner we get rid of him, the better, and that's unfortunate. And, we did do a few Frozen Hearts in that battle, so depending on how closely that player watches it, they'll know what's up. But still, we do come away with the province with minimal losses, and we clear out like some of the retreats. Not that most of this really matters, other than the Larthug, but yeah, we do at least have the province. And then we witness a battle between Falegra and Marignon. So let's take a look at this. Perhaps a thug? No, this is normal Phlegron army units with almost no mage support, really. That's interesting. The generals actually get some magic. I did not realize that. And then this guy is probably just going to set himself to Communion Slave. Yeah, and this guy's a Communion Master. But with a communion of only 1, that doesn't actually boost your paths at all. It does help a little bit for fatigue, but with just one path, like he's not really going to provide too much. I think he's just here for leadership. That said, Marignon chose not to really leave any province defense, and like, yeah, these units, the Mouflon Cataphracts are pretty neat and pretty effective heavy cavalry. But this is, just a mundane army. Like, there's nothing particularly special about it. A little heavy for a raiding force, and then maybe a little light for an army. So, yeah, I'm not sure about the commitment level there. But who knows? We don't have very good information there, so there could be, excellent reasons for that group to exist. And, here we are getting attacked somewhere, and like, yeah, this is just, 1 PD. So we've seen this force many times before. That is the force that we must deal with. And I think probably, we'll be having a battle against it next turn in Abyssia. So we get a bunch of unexpected events, 2 of which result in attacks. That's not great. Okay, Forces of Nature are trying to reclaim one of our forests, which is kind of unfortunate because we probably have a bunch of mages there, and I'm not sure how much scripting I've given to them. Locust Swarms, that's fine. They don't even eat that much gold. The Panic we don't care about so much. Bad Omens. Misfortune +3. Good luck with that. And hey, we get a Sage. He's looking for the Library of Time. I don't believe in it. It's his long and fruitless quest. I have also searched for these kinds of things long and fruitlessly. I think we've already pretty much astral searched to like 9 everything in our territory. So like, yeah, there's no Library of Time. It would be my guess. We'll double check, definitely. But we do at least get a Sage. That's fine. It's definitely better than getting attacked, that's for sure. Okay, those are the Omens, the Sage. Well-known Count has revealed himself as a vampire. A classic. And yeah, we're definitely going to lose this province. This is kind of annoying because I think this is I think we can march around it, but this is kind of in a reinforcement path. So let's take a look at the forces of, these are the vampires. And like, yeah, so there's a vampire count here. And, we're planning on doing some vampires in the future, definitely. Vampire counts and vampires are something you can summon in with blood magic, and then they just have some militia and some human thralls, and we just have 6 PD, so a bunch of vampires are just absolutely going to obliterate them. Vampires have some invulnerability. Okay, they have a lot of invulnerability, actually. But against magic weapons, they're just naked. They do have regeneration, but they don't have much health. They have weakness to fire, which is normal. I mean, it's always relevant, but we don't have much fire magic, so we won't be able to take advantage of that too much. But anyway, they definitely are like kind of nasty units, and this is one of the nastier independent attacks that you can have, in my opinion. But we'll figure it out. Like, yeah, it's not insurmountable. A bunch of monster boars. Ugh. And dryads, although it doesn't look like, okay, no gems for the dryads. And like, yeah, we do have a few mages here, but not a lot of province defense. This is probably a forest on our border that we have like somewhat stripped of mages for raiding groups. And so like, yeah, we're probably going to lose this. I don't know, we'll see. We did at least manage to get some protection. Oh man, that's rough. So like, yeah, you know, it's not the end of the world, like losing 3 Veti Hags, but like, yeah, losing them to independent attacks, that hurts. So yeah, neither of those work out for us, this one being particularly painful. So, I mean, that's the nature of Misfortune 3. Can't really complain about it too much. And then we have some patrolling, and I will catch you guys after the jump. Alright, this is the situation and what we're doing about it. We're just going to go for it again. It's not great timing, right? It's summer and it's about to be late summer. We can see that we've only brought down the temperature scales to neutral. We're not going to bother with another Woven Winter. We would have the gems. We're doing a bit of water forging this turn, so we could cut that and we could cast it again. But my understanding of that spell is that it happens pretty late in the turn order, so the battle would happen first. So we're going to get what we're going to get, or rather we're going to get what we see here, which is neutral, which is not great. Abyssia is a pretty poor target for this spell. Probably the worst target. Yeah, should be careful about that, but definitely a bad target. And that is because of the smolder cone, which just increases heat in the province, like, period. I'm assuming this triggers like every turn. So yeah, we're trying to, you know, turn the temperature in Abyssia during summer to cold. So that is perhaps a foolish endeavor. And I think we're just going to have to live, you know, with neutral temperature scales. So we might try Woven Winter again in a place that's, you know, doesn't contain the smolder cone, and hopefully we'll get better results. But perhaps not the best use of 20 water gems. We've talked about this army. I have pretty good feelings, but there are a lot more mages here. So, you know, I mean, we know that there's been recruitment. I have a feeling that, like, some of the mages from the capital have been snuck out, because this seems like, you know, too many sages to have just been recruited here in Abyssia. But regardless, I think even if those guys come out, you know, we're not really relying. The sages mostly, they can commune up, and some of them have air, so we could be getting some lightning strikes. But we should be sitting back mostly at long range, other than, you know, the skeletons that we're going to be summoning in, and, you know, if the skeletons get killed by lightning, that's fine. And then the other main thing that they can do that we've seen Pangea doing a lot of is the body ethereal, but, you know, Foul Vapors is not going to care about that. Now, I mean, there's still some danger, you know, obviously trying to Foul Vapors Pangea, they're not exactly a favorable target for that, since they have a lot of nature magic, so it's pretty easy for them to cast poison resistance on themselves, and we know that there are some pans in this army, and there's even some nature gems out there. Now, those pans have been using those nature gems for Howl, but, you know, with the right research, they could switch over pretty easily, and once we make this attack, probably going to be relatively obvious what our plan is. It may already be relatively obvious because we have a bunch of mannequins, which are, you know, poison resistant chaff. On the other hand, you know, we did just take a bunch of losses, so, you know, Pangea might just think, well, you know, they're just trying to bring in more troops. But I think, you know, once we fight a battle, certainly if, you know, they dig through our army, they'll be able to see, like, this looks like it's been set up for Foul Vapors, and we don't know, right, that he's going to come back. Like, he may decide to continue raiding, and that would be kind of dangerous, right, because then potentially Pangea could alter their plan to be ready for Foul Vapors, and then, yeah, I don't know, we'll see. We do have some imp summoning, right? We have 2 lifelong protections now. We have quite a few death mages, so, you know, we're going to have even more skeletons than we did last time, but we have significantly fewer Rimveti. And obviously it didn't go great for us last time in Abyssia. So, like, we'll see. This is definitely a dangerous move. You know, I thought about delaying further. But obviously, like, we're already, you know, behind schedule by quite a lot, right? So we were supposed to start raiding on turn 39, and we're still not going to raid this turn on turn 40. Well, that means turn 41, there'll still be no attacks. Maybe on turn 42, we are moving out, you know, quite a few raiders still, and we can see that the Merfolk Nation are true to their word, and they are attacking Raga, despite, like, not having that large of a border. So we did find, well, now that we've had eyes on this area for a little while, but didn't realize that they extended I guess they extend to the south here, but I'm still really like not sure. Like there's Marignon's flag is out here, so like what exactly is going on between these two, right? And there's still an army sitting on top of here. So while the merfolk definitely have committed to this war, right? This isn't cracked or anything. This could just be a thug. We're still not really sure like what the level of commitment is. We have been talking with Raga. Raga did offer a non-aggression pact, but I pointed out that some of the previous people, Archocephaly being salient among them, that had signed non-aggression pacts, it didn't work out so well for them. Raga insisted that they have never attacked anybody, and they see themselves as the great pacifier. And frankly, I'm not really sure what to do with that. So interesting information, okay, but I'm still going to decline on that non-aggression pact. But the fact that they're asking, it's hard to say, right? Because they definitely have asked for non-aggression pacts, it sounds like, with nations that they didn't really need to, right? Like I don't think Archocephaly was ever particularly strong in this game, but they did have a non-aggression pact with them. So normally, I would say, okay, well, if a nation is asking for a non-aggression pact and we know that they're fighting someone else, that's probably a pretty good sign that they're under a decent amount of pressure. But I'm not so sure in this case, right? Just because of their history and also because of the fact that like there just isn't that much border here. So, I don't know how much pressure they can actually apply to Raga up here. We do see an army building from Utgard, so potentially they're going to jump in, but my understanding is that they have a non-aggression pact with Raga. I haven't heard anything about them canceling it yet, so we'll see. Also, we have the Patala situation. Did get in touch with Gath. They said, sorry about the bump. They weren't intending that. I wasn't intending that. We're still trying to work out. They wanted both of these provinces, and originally I was just gonna take both, right, and just be like, yeah, like the river. And then they suggested, well, I could have both of these if they get this province up here, this cave, and this is actually a pretty useful province for us. There's a lot of astral coming out of this, and we're also going to want it as like part of our border with Raga, especially like to get to our main war targets of Archocephaly's capital in this throne. So I countered with like, okay, I'll take this since it used to be mine. Gath has definitely controlled this province at various points, and it sounds like they mostly just wanted some blood slaves, so I offered some blood slaves in trade. I forget actually how many offhand, so I'll have to go look that up. And they were okay with that, but they were also interested in a non-aggression pact, and I have not gotten back to them about that yet, because I do think that, Gath is relatively large still, definitely. So I don't think there'll be a pushover, and it will probably be a while, right? Especially if we're going to commit to Raga before we can fight them. So probably worth signing with Gath and then maybe encouraging them. Well, I don't know. The problem is if they join in the war with Raga, and they're kind of, right, they're a lot of the same gains they're going to want as us. And while there is enough space in theory, right, like if we manage to take these provinces and like we do have these provinces up here, so we could kind of attack Raga like this, but it would just make for a terrible border. And then that also means, right, this is Raga's capital, so this is probably the area that they're going to defend the hardest. So it's like if we're doing this weird reach through this narrow span of territory where we don't control Pangaea's capital, right, and Pythium is also hostile. That just seems like a really bad situation. So I'm not sure. I haven't really decided what we're going to do about the Gath situation. For now, we are just delaying. So we are moving out to try to get rid of these Vinemen here. Unfortunately, right, Vaeti are relatively slow, so we're going to move to this bordering forest, and then we'll take it next turn. The vampires, I need to think about a little bit. I'm sure we could come up with something, but we are stretched a little bit right now. I also feel like these guys might be decently dealt with by a thug. Possibly also worth like trying to charm. I think that the vampire counts actually 16 is decent, but they don't have amazing magic resistance. Neither do the vampires. I think they are 15. So still decent, but not like amazing magic resistance. But probably we should just clear this out without trying to come up with something fancy. But we just don't really, we have some mages in the area, but a lot of these are like more valuable mages, right, that we don't necessarily want to just throw against independents. Don't quite have a plan for vampires yet. And then most of the rest of this is just, pushing around site searchers, moving up some of our reinforcements. Rating wise, we're, being more quiet this turn, so we're just going to do some site searching here and hang out and, you know, try to catch raiders. We do have the first of our Moonblade fellows moving in, so possibly Alar is going to come in here and meet his end. We'll see. Otherwise, these are, I think, mostly our Wolf Brother groups, and like, yeah, they're just not going to do great because, you know, potentially they could bump, well, if they bump into either of these forces, they're going to lose. So we're just going to move into position, right, and get ready to take them, you know, and kind of see like what Pangea is going to do. We do see an army from Marignan on the move, so, you know, hopefully they will, I don't know, we'll see, right, because they attacked Pangea, but now in order to actually make it to Pangea's capital, they're going to have to fight Pythium. And I'm just not really sure, you know, if they're ready and willing to open another war. Like I said, Marignan did say that their eastern flank was secure, but yeah, I need to talk to them and be like, so what? How are you defining security? So I think that covers the majority of it. The last scouting piece that we saw, we do see that Tianqi's capital has been cracked by Yomen, or Jomen. So we're going to move a scout in there to witness that. And Jomen has mentioned that they're interested in fighting against Raga, although, again, it's going to be, yeah, I'm not sure. Like, it seems like a very narrow border, right? So that's, again, like, I'm not so sure about this coalition. Like, a lot of the people that seem to share, like, large borders with Raga are, you know, right, they either have a non-aggression pact or, you know, they aren't, like, I don't think Gath is in that group for whatever reason, or if they are, like, they haven't really, I mean, obviously they have been pretty busy with the Patala situation, so in kind of in the same way that, right, my failure is delaying me, I think that, you know, their failures on top of Patala have delayed them, so, like, yeah, it's still a bit up in the air, but definitely I don't want to commit to Raga until at least at minimum we defeat this Pangean stack, right? Because there's just no way. Like, we can't afford to be sitting and waiting for a Pangean army to attack while we're also messing with Raga, where it's like, you know, a huge stack of Zayedans could show up, you know, the same turn or like immediately the turn after that we fight a battle with this army that we've already lost to. So that just strikes me as way too dangerous. So we're probably still a few turns out realistically before, you know, we start attacking Raga. Best case scenario, right? We move in here. He tries to move back. Actually, no, that wouldn't be best case because probably if he tried to move back, he could move back and move and patrol. But I don't know. This player hasn't really done that very often. Then again, right, the fact that they got a pretty good victory, a pretty crushing victory here, maybe they're feeling more confident, and so maybe they will move back and patrol. Because, I mean, this is a pretty clear move, I feel like. I'm not really trying to hide, like, where I'm going. So, yeah, we'll see. And then I think the last thing to talk about, yeah, research. Thaumaturgy 5, yeah, which we've discussed, and of course, blood. Once we get this blood magic, let's see. Let's take a look at where crossbreeding is. So, yeah, level 3, so we'll have this probably next turn, I think. No, not maybe next turn. If not next turn, then certainly the turn after. So we will start to get to make chaff, but we're also going to want to kind of use blood to get some more elite troops. So yeah, we definitely need to up our blood hunting. We'll probably put together another group. Once this border stabilizes a little more, we're definitely planning on blood hunting. Probably just this forest. This forest population is probably a little too low. So yeah, I think that covers turn 40.